Welcome to In the Shop. My name is Clay Croft, and today we have our 2018 AEV Prospector. I got this truck because I really wanted it for what it's really good for, towing and hauling. This thing can tow a ton and haul a ton, literally. It is one of the better platforms for a big overland build if I wanted to go that route with it. And I knew that just in my personal life and what I needed out of a truck, that having the big towing capacities and payloads is going to be very beneficial for me. And that is how I've used it quite a lot. Right now, I've owned it for about 1.5 years. It's been a slow build with everything else going on in Expedition Overland, etc. But it's finally to the state that I saw and had a vision for 1.5 years ago. So you may recall that I had Dave Harriton in from AEV here a year or so ago, and he walked me through what is a Prospector through American Expedition Vehicles. And I was so impressed that off camera and stuff, I was like, you know what, I'd really like to get one of these. And so AEV helped me get into this pickup right here. It has been a dream come true to drive this truck. It is a phenomenally good vehicle. And it is, dare I say, maybe one of my favorite vehicles of all time. It's just meeting all the needs that I had for it. And then on top of that, it excelled in so many ways. The ride quality, the power, having a diesel, always wanted a diesel since I was a kid, really, with my dad and his semis and all that. So it's been fun to have a diesel. On top of that, I knew that I wouldn't reach any limitations to power and towing and cargo capacities if I wanted to take it further down the road. So today, though, this has been built up as my daily driver and / adventure mobile for what I needed to do in my personal life outside of Expedition Overland. Of course, I can't not modify a vehicle, so I had to get my hands into it, and this is what we came up with, and this is what finally has been done. I have had a lot of support with this vehicle, and so all those people that have helped me, thank you. Let's start with just the foundation. The foundation comes straight from Detroit, built as an AEV Prospector. I put the Grabber 37 X3s on it, and coming from AEV, it is rated, it even has the new tire tabs in there for the rating of a 37-inch tire. It runs everything else that's normal from an AEV Prospector, the in-dash gauge cluster, the 3-inch dual sport lift. When I ordered it, I did have them put in the gear ratio upgrade, just because I knew what I would probably be towing and doing stuff with it in the future. I did ask for both the ram air snorkel head and the cyclonic air intake. And right now I'm running the cyclonic air intake because it cleans the air before it gets to the air filters in the engine. It's like a pre-filter, pre-cleaner. And so since it serves a function right off the bat, that's why I run with it on the daily basis. From there, as soon as it got home in its AEV goodness, I went to work on it. ARE supplied the cap to this. I got it color matched. I got wind doors on the side and the rear, no glass other than the very front, so I could look back and see my dog or cargo, whatever. But I really like the security of the wind doors. Nothing to break or nobody has the ability to look in and see what's in the back. So I went with that option. On top, I put a equipped Expedition Outfitters the Easy On K9 roof rack, which has been a proven roof rack for me across all of our Expedition trucks over the years. And it was a no-brainer to go call Paul and say, hey, I'd like to put one of these on the top. And so they helped us out with that. The front of the roof rack is terminated with a rigid light bar that's really nice in that location. It's tucked way back behind the cab so I don't get any light shadow on the hood when it's turned on. And that allows me to see way down the road on these Montana backcountry roads. So with the roof rack, we mounted the Easy On Batwing 270 This is an awning that we've had for a long time at Expedition Overland here, and it hasn't been used recently, so I nabbed it, put it on the Prospector because it gives a 270-degree angle and goes all the way around to the rear, and I can, for the most part, pull the cargo glide out and have an awning that's above it. That's important for camping, cooking off the back of it, or when I'm on a search and rescue call and I'm doing drone things, I am able to keep drones out of the weather or out of the sun or whatever when we're going through cycles. It's been a very useful tool. We put rigid scene lights on the side. We've done this on multiple trucks of ours and have just found that the rigid scene lights are an awesome addition to the sides of the vehicles. So we wired those in. Once we had everything set up with the cap and everything was the way we wanted it on the outside, I then took it in and had Shines Autos meticulously put a Ceramic Pro coating on the paint surface. This is the gold package, so it comes with a limited or a lifetime warranty, and it's layers after layers. I believe it's 4 layers of basically a very hard clear coat that they put on top of the paint. So what they do is they go in and they make sure that the paint is color perfect and the paint correction is as good as it can be from the factory, and then they seal it with Ceramic Pro. And then on top of that sealant, they put in a hydrophobic layer that bonds to that. And it basically has microscopic fibers that lift up that are hydrated, and it creates a hydrophobic layer on the outside that water doesn't want to stick to it. It just runs right off. We've had Ceramic Pro on our personal 200 series Land Cruiser for the last couple of years. It was sponsored for the SEMA Auto Show back then, and we've been running it for 2 years, and I've been really impressed with it. So the Ceramic Pro was a must for this truck, especially because I knew it gave me a sacrificial layer in scratches that if it wasn't too deep, that I would be able to buff out, knowing that this is a big vehicle and where I'm going to take it, it's going to get scratches, I know that. But this gives me just that one extra layer of protection that I can get it corrected and keep the paint looking good for a long time. Let's see, beyond that, if we start our way on the front now and work our way towards the back, the Warn Winch 16.5 Ti was a must. It's got the synthetic line. Even though this truck can handle a ton of weight, I still want to keep it as light as possible so that I can add the right accessories that I want down the road and not have it overbearing by grossly overweight accessories from the beginning. It allows me to pick and choose and get more accessories on there if I want them in the future because I didn't overladen the vehicle with too much weight. Therefore, this got the synthetic winch line on the front. The front bumper also got the rigid Midnight Edition light bar to keep it in the all blackout edition. It's just kind of something fun I've had with this truck is to keep it really muted. The Salta wheels match the paint. The headlights are from the Sport Edition, so they're black. All the badging's black. So it just has this nice look. So the Midnight Edition front bar was what I wanted. And it's a phenomenally good light bar. It's the primary light source that I use as an auxiliary light source. And I rarely actually use my roof rack light. The lower mounted light is typically what gets used because it's the most versatile. Working our way back, AMP stepped up, so to speak, and helped me with the power side steps. They were a must. I actually ran this truck for quite a while without side steps, and over time it became very apparent that I needed some. It was a comedy show to see my kids get into the 37-inch Prospector every time. A 9-year-old getting into this truck is just hilarious. It's different every single time. And then I was noticing that I was wearing out the seat because I'm practically falling out of the truck every time. So AMP stepped up and they gave us the XL Power Step. This one has a rock protection in it. It does offer mild rock protection, especially chips and bumps and things like that. It's not a slider by any means, but I'm not asking it to be. What I really wanted was the functionality of the drop step. And with the XL, we get a longer drop in the step. For these bigger vehicles like this, it allows you to step into the vehicle as easily as it can be with it going as low as possible. The windows were tinted by Boss Tint here in town. They've been tinting our windows for years, and I really think that completes the look of a vehicle. So moving our way to the back, what I have done is mounted 2 rigid reverse lights into the bumper for backing up in dark places and at campsites, and for just general lighting around camp towards the back of the vehicle when I need it. Moving ourselves inside of the back, there is the Cargo Glide XL 2200. Quite possibly one of the best functioning pieces of equipment that I've had in a pickup in quite some time. So I talked to Cargo Glide and I said, I think this really has some great applications in the overland space and with my vehicle here. Would you look at supporting me on this? And they did. They sent me the Cargo Glide XL 2200 here. It was a very good install, a very simple install. And now with it being the XL, it gives me 100% extension from inside the cab. So it doesn't come out only 70% of the way, it comes out the full length of the bed, which is huge. I use this truck for a lot of different missions, from camping and fishing and hunting to search and rescue to household chores. It just gets used in all kinds of ways. So having the ability to pull that slide out, load it up the way that I need it to be run that day quickly, and put it right back into the back has been awesome. Like, it is truly one of the better features of this vehicle. And I think Cargo Glide has a really good product for just general overland space here going forward. So I'd encourage them to keep looking at that. Moving back underneath the vehicle, we installed a Brown Davis auxiliary fuel tank in the spare tire location. This is one of the first ones in the country. Cam at Brown Davis is good friends with Justin Monteselvo of Patriot Campers, and Justin got me in contact with Cam here for this vehicle in particular to run an auxiliary tank and give it a good test. They have put those tanks on their, Patriot Campers has put those tanks on their Super Rams, if you've seen those online, and they're phenomenally awesome trucks. And I got a little piece of that here with that Brown Davis rear tank. So total now, I have a 30-gallon auxiliary tank and a 32-gallon main tank for a total of 62 gallons. And at an average of 15 miles to the gallon, I'm getting right at 930 miles of range. That can go up and it can go down depending on the use, but that's just the flat, call it 900 miles of range out of this truck. They installed the auxiliary fuel gauge in the interior and in a spot that I can see it when I'm pumping up. That's been really good. Dark Horse Customs installed the tank for me, and they did a phenomenal job. Before we sent the tank to them, we did order Raptor spray line, and we Raptor sprayed. It's like a cheaper bed line that you can get right off of Amazon. We coated the tank for just that extra level of protection of corrosion and resistance to scratches and things like that, because here in Montana in the Northwest, we have a lot of corrosive materials on our roads. So we just wanted to go the extra mile that it would survive a long time up here in Montana in severe conditions. The tank fills in a very neat way. There's still just a single filler, and when you fill at the pump, it fills the main tank first. Then once that's full, it just starts flowing into the aux tank. So you're always guaranteed to put fuel in your main tank first, and then after that, you don't have to fill it, the rear tank, if you don't want to carry the weight, or it just spills right into the rear, and then a pump on the dash turns it on, fills the main tank again while you're going down the road. It's pretty awesome. All the electronics are brought through a standard S-Pod. I wish I would have put in the Bantam. I just think it's a better system, but I only needed 6 switches. And those 6 switches are actuated by the AEV switch bezel that they send out. And this bezel is awesome. It is designed to look factory in the truck. And so I ordered custom switches for the different functions that we have on there. And looks great. And that all runs through the S-Pod 4x4. We've run the S-Pod stuff for years, and it's just great stuff. Check them out. Beyond that, we've got a ham radio in there. I put in my Yaesu 400DR ham radio. It's a dual channel, and I have it, Search and Rescue set me up so that I can talk through the search and rescue channels when I respond to calls. That's been great. It also has the APRS data set for pinging my location here in Montana or wherever I am out and about in the country. I can ping that out there and my wife and kids at home can see where I am out and about. To beef that up, we also put in a custom mount for the Explorer, the Garmin Explorer, that has inReach built in. That allows me to send text messages and have a handheld GPS if I leave the vehicle, and talk to an iPad that is just below that I will use on search and rescue calls as well, or being out in the backcountry with different mapping software, etc. So that's kind of the dash gauge. On top of that, I've added a holster for a Glock 19 that I usually carry when I'm out on the ranch. It just allows me to take it out of my side holster and put it into the vehicle. These are all legal things in Montana. That's not legal everywhere, but here in Montana that is perfectly legal. Then on the backs of the seats, we went with a Grayman Tech rear panels that allow weapons to be mounted on the back. And we use this all the time for going on the ranch trips. I got 3 boys and we're packing guns around. It just allows a really nice, safe location for the rifles to be mounted while we're driving around, and other accessories. I've got a med kit there, the ability to hold extra magazines, tools, multi-tools, etc. It's just a really cool system to have that MOLLE panel on the back of the seat. I've really enjoyed it. That was a Christmas gift of mine from Rochelle last year. I think this truck is pretty dialed. It is an incredibly powerful vehicle. It rides amazing. You can drive it all day and feel good when you get out of it. It turns heads, which is fun. I saw a meme the other day that says, if you don't turn back and look at your vehicle every time you get out, you've got the wrong vehicle. And that's something that I do with this truck. I like to get out and I turn around and I said, yeah, I love that truck. Thank you everybody for the support of this vehicle, the companies that have been involved with building it with me. And thank you to all of you watching this. Appreciate the viewership and the support of Expedition Overland and In the Shop. We'll see you on the next one.